Hey YouTube, it's Sean, Griffin RC Planes. This will be video part 2 on our AR610 receiver programming setup for our foam board RC airplane. We're going to set up the dual rates, high of 100% of the servo travel and a low of 70% of the servo travel. We're going to set the maximum servo travel, and then we'll create a mix, an aileron to rudder mix, just a simple mix, just to show you guys how it's done. And then that will be the end of this AR610. It'll be the few things you guys have picked up that we can carry on to the next receiver, which is the AR636, that will set up with full safe select, and we'll use the Spektrum programmer on the computer plus the app on my tablet. So we'll do a lot of that good stuff in the AR636 next. So let's go ahead and set up those things now, and then we'll just see how it goes. So that concludes the AR610 receiver setup. Hopefully you guys picked up a thing or two that we can carry on to the next receiver that we're going to do, the AR636. So maybe there's a couple tips in that one that'll help us out along the way on the next one. The next one's going to be, it's going to take several videos to do it and do it right. That was a little bit of a practice run for me as well. So I hope that helps some of you guys out, or just a little entertainment, if anything. If you're new to this channel and you haven't already, please subscribe and click the like button. That helps out the YouTube algorithm. That gets me promoted to other people, so the subscriber count goes up. And when the subscriber count goes up, that keeps me doing this. Behind the scenes, I've got a lot more time than what you guys are watching, and that's a fact. And I enjoy doing it, and as long as that number is steadily creeping up, then that just keeps me motivated. And I'd like to mail this FMS Avanti jet to somebody before flying season's over for this year. I don't see why we can't hit 1,000 in the next month or so. That is really possible. So subscribe if you haven't, share the videos with your friends, and until next time, you'll see me here. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and set up our dual rates in the transmitter before we set the maximum servo travel. So I'm going to select the scroll wheel down here to dual rate and expo, and you can see aileron is our first choice, and in position 1 it's at 100, and when I flip the switch to position 0 it's in 100. Well, 1 is in the down position, so we're going to make that our low rate. So I just select it on 100 and I'm rolling it to 70% of the travel, and then we'll go back up here and select and roll the scroll wheel over to elevator, and position 1 is at 100, and now position 0 is at 100. So down to 1, that's the lower position of the switch. That's going to be our low rate, just because it makes sense to flip the switch down for low, up for high. And then back up and to rudder, position 1 is going to be 70% as well. Okay, well, look here, aileron position 1 is 70, position 0 is 100. Elevator position 1 is 70, position 0 is 100. Rudder position 1 is 70, position 0 is 100. Okay, the dual rates are all set up. So we're going to decide with our made up manual, imaginary manual, what our maximum travel for the high rates for the elevator. And we've already set our dual rates in the radio, but now we need to decide what our maximum travel for the elevator is, also the high rate of the dual rate. So I have a ruler, and we'll see what it is measuring right now, and it's about at 3 inches, and I'm in the high rate setting. Let me make sure you see the high rate, and then there's low. So we're in the high rate. It's measuring 3 inches. Full deflection is about 5.5-ish. you know, give or take a little bit for this setup here. So let's decide that our maximum travel for the rudder will be 2 inches. So let's go to servo setup, and the first setting is travel, and we'll select and roll over to elevator. And right now it's showing the 100% mark, and there's also a bar graph next to it, the monitor screen, where you can see about how far your servo's traveling. So when I pull it down and get it to about the 2-inch mark, I can see that the servo travels roughly 85% or something like that. So we'll just dial it down here to, there's 86. Let's see what 86 looks like. And that's still about 5 1/4. Let's take it on down to a full 80% right here. So here's our ruler at 3 inches. And then there's our max at 2. And then we can see our dual rate in that setup. So we'll call maximum travel for the elevator 80%. Now let's do our maximum travel for the rudder. And in the rudder we can use this tool right here. I have it set up to read in millimeters. You can take and undo these 2 screws and flip this ruler over, and inches are on the other side. But you would clamp it down at the bottom like so, like that. There we go. And then you take your reading like so. Obviously held in place a little bit better. But for this demonstration and us just learning just a little bit, you know, we're just taking some notes during this AR610 setup so that we can use a few of these pointers to move on to the 636. So I'm in the high rate of the rudder, and then there's the low rate. So let's go back to the high rate and let's see what it looks like fully deflective. It's about 30 millimeters. We'll say we want 20 millimeters for the full of the rudder. So we'll roll it down here to 85 and start. That's maybe 25 or something. Let's take it on down to 80 also and see what happens. That's about 20. So we'll just call that 80% travel for the rudder. And now let's do the ailerons. See what we come up with these guys. So right now it is about 3 1/4. Let's bring it up a little bit just for easiness. I'm just going to set a piece of cardboard or 2 under the ruler here. Do like that. Here's about 3 inches. And when it's fully deflected right there, it's at about 5. There you can see the low rate and the high rate. So it's about 5 inches. It's about 2 inches. All right. So let's say we want 1 1/2 inch. That'll take it about right there. So let's go down here and we'll just start at 83% or so. That's still quite a bit, so we'll roll it on down to, I don't know, there's 58 something. A little closer. We'll do a maximum of 1 inch. 1 inch. So let's go down here to 50. There we go. We'll do 1 inch for the max for the ailerons, and then there's the low rate, a little bit less. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, our max travel for the ailerons is 50%. So now we have our aileron low and high. Then we have our elevator low and high. And then we have the rudder low and high. So we've got dual rates set up for all three control surfaces. We've already set up our servo travel, but I'm going to do it again so you guys can see it on the screen here. Select on the scroll wheel. Servo setup is the first choice. And then travel is the first choice. So I'm going to roll it down to throttle, select, roll the scroll wheel over to aileron. And we decided that they were at 50% of their travel. So I'm just going to roll it to 50. And then roll the scroll wheel back up, select on aileron, and roll it to the right. And elevator is next. We decided 80% for the elevator. And then the rudder we decided was 80% as well. So that's our maximum travel, just like we saw in the other video. So let's create a mix. We'll create an aileron to a rudder mix to help with turns, to help make a turn look more of a radius turn. Rudders help planes out a lot with turns. So we'll go to here in the mix on the radio, mixing. If I can get there, there we are. And it has an aileron to rudder mix already selected, so we don't need to create one from scratch. We'll just use that one for now. And first you have your right and left, and you can create a rudder mix to only turn left, or only to turn right, or to do both, or you can have a percentage stronger turning one direction versus the other direction. And we're just going to change. We're just going to make the rate 20% for now to see what it looks like. And remember, we reversed our rudder in the radio. So in this case, the percentage will be a negative number. So we'll just roll it down here to negative 25. And we'll do the same for right and left turns. And then we need to pick a switch that we want it on. And we'll use this back one, the mix switch. You can either put it on mix 0 or mix 1, the position of the switch. So we'll set it in the mix 1 position. And that is when you pull the switch back to you. So now we have it on in the mix 1. Let's deflect the ailerons and watch the rudder move. We'll do a right turn. It'll bring the green aileron up, and it'll bring the blue rudder towards us. And then when we go left, the red aileron will go up, and the blue rudder will go that way. And then we'll turn our switch off, and we'll try it again. Turning to the right, green aileron goes up, and the rudder should not come towards us. Same with the left. Rudder's not moving. Now we're turning right, and I can turn the switch on, and the rudder will turn. All right, so now we've successfully created a mix rudder to aileron to help with the turning radius. Mix we created, the aileron to the rudder. So let's do that here on the screen. Select on the scroll wheel, down to mixing, select. There's the aileron rudder mix that's already set up there. Rolling the scroll wheel down here to the right percentage. We have to go negative because we reversed the servo in the initial setup. So negative 25 was our setting. And down here to the left, so they match. And then switch. It comes inhibited by default. I selected. We're going to roll and find the switch position, the mix switch position 1. Right there. So now we have our mix set up also. So that concludes the AR610 receiver setup. Hopefully you guys picked up a thing or two that we can carry on to the next receiver that we're going to do, the AR636. So maybe there's a couple tips in that one that'll help us out along the way on the next one. The next one's going to be, it's going to take several videos to do it and do it right. That was a little bit of a practice run for me as well. So I hope that helps some of you guys out, or just a little entertainment, if anything. If you're new to this channel and you haven't already, please subscribe and click the like button. That helps out the YouTube algorithm. That gets me promoted to other people, so the subscriber count goes up. And when the subscriber count goes up, that keeps me doing this. Behind the scenes, I've got a lot more time than what you guys are watching, and that's a fact. And I enjoy doing it, and as long as that number is steadily creeping up, then that just keeps me motivated. And I'd like to mail this FMS Avanti jet to somebody before flying season's over for this year. I don't see why we can't hit 1,000 in the next month or so. That is really possible. So subscribe if you haven't, share the videos with your friends, and until next time, you'll see me here. Thank you, guys.